Here's something that's going to happen during the end times, talked about in Revelations chapter 16, verse number 1 through 21. The book of Revelations is the only book solely devoted to talking about the end times in the Bible. Listen to this. It's something that you want to pay close attention to and go back and study it. Here it is. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out the vial upon the earth. And there fell a noisome and grievous sores upon men, which had been marked, which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became blood. And it became as the blood of dead men. And every living soul died in the sea. And the third angel poured out of his vial upon the rivers, fountains of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters saying, thou art righteous, O Lord, which art the and waste shalt be, because thou hast judged thus. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are the judgments. And the fourth angel poured out a vial upon the sun, and the power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. Verse 9. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over the plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. Verse 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and the kingdom was full of darkness. And they gnawed their tongues for the pain, and they blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And the sixth angel out of his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and water thereof was dried up, that the ways of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw three unclean spirits, like frogs, came out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For the spirits are of the devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of the Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keep his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. Verse 16. And he gathered them together into the place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And the seventh seal poured out his vial into the air. And there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were voices, and thunders, and lightnings, and there were great earthquakes, such as was not seen as men upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the city of the nations fell. And the great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give on to her the cup of wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men great hail out of heaven. Every stone weighed about a talent, and men blasphemed God because of the plagues of hail. For the plague, therefore, was exceedingly great. In this particular chapter, we looked at the last 7 of the plagues, or wrath of God. If you want to remember anything about the end times and concerning the wrath of God, remember this. There are 21 distinct times when God is going to unleash his wrath. 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls. It happens during 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls. A little bit last week we discussed was about the 4 horsemen, and they were part of the 7 seals that were unleashed from God. Tonight I just shared with you the 7 bowls of wrath that's going to be poured out, and these are the final 7 plagues from God. And what you should know about these 7 bowls, or sometimes called vials, is this. They are indeed God's response to the wickedness that has been gradually, and in this time of tribulation, rapidly accruing over the course of time. Men have become so wicked that God says enough is enough. And so he moves from a point of reaching out. He moves from a point of patience, and he moves into his wrath. And that's what Revelation, the book of Revelations details, and doesn't leave much to the imagination. There is a point that mankind will reach when God says enough is enough. And if you look around, you can see it even now. Some people wonder, why are people able to get away with the things they do? Why are men becoming rapidly and increasingly more evil? Have you ever seen or heard of some of the things that are going on now? Never would I imagine that people would do some of the things they do to other people now. And so God is looking at this through the course of history, and he's saying at this point in Revelations, that's enough. So the 7 bowls. The 7 bowls happen during the time of tribulation. The tribulation period is 3.5 years after the after the 7-year period of peace. So 3.5 years into a 7-year period of peace in which the Antichrist comes on the scene. That's when this tribulation period occurs. That's important for you to remember, because sometimes when people refer to this period, they say that the tribulation period is actually 7 years, but no, it is 3.5 years into the particular time frame of the Antichrist. And what's going to happen is this. The Antichrist is going to come along the world scene and bring about world peace. And when the Antichrist is able to do this, then 3.5 years into this world peaceful time, he is going to declare himself God in the temple. That's going to give the Jews a signal that, hey, listen, we need to run to the mountains. We need to get out of here. We knew this was coming. And also what's happening is, during this time, that's the time mark. That's the stamp for the 3.5 years of the tribulation period. During that 3.5 years of tribulation, the devil, or the Antichrist, is given free reign to terrorize saints. You don't want to be here during that time, according to the Bible. But then once that time frame is over, God says, okay, this is enough. And then we get into this part of Revelations, which is the last of the 14 or 21 plagues, the 7 bowls. Let me detail them a little bit more for you, and you go back and look at them and read them and give me your comments and thoughts about these particular 7 bowls once I'm done here. All right, so here we go. So the first bowl mentioned in Revelation 16:2 are sores that afflict people only with the mark of the beast. Go back and take a look at a couple of devotions I did some time ago, the mark of the beast versus the seal of God. Take a look at that. You're going to find at this time, during the devil's 3.5 year reign, tribulation period, he's going to cause people and great and not so great, rich and poor, to receive a mark, and they're going to pledge their allegiance to him. That's the mark of the beast. It's going to be a mark or some image or a number or something like that. Some people think it's a computer chip, but we don't know, but it's going to be his mark. But there's also going to be another mark, and that's going to be the seal of God. That's the opposite of the mark of the beast. So people are going to go one of two ways. They're forced to pick it. And so anyway, so after this period's done, the God comes and he pours out his wrath with these 7 bowls, and the first one are sores poured out on the people only with the mark of the beast. Got that? Only with the mark of the beast. What that lets us know is this: is not only are there going to be people who or who are here who are worshiping the Antichrist or the devil, there are also going to be Christians who make it through that tribulation period, even though you don't want to be there. The second bowl is a bowl in which God turns all of the seas into blood, and all of the creatures die in it. And take a look at that passage in Revelation 16:3. It says, all. Now I'm going to read it to you, because I thought this was kind of cool. It says, and every living soul died in that plague. So what that kind of alludes to is that there's stuff under there that's living. Now you can take that as you wish, read into it some more, but it said every living soul died in that sea. Think about that. The third plague that's mentioned, the third plague is the rivers now turned into blood. So now after the seas and the creatures in the sea and all the living souls that are there are dead, then you have the rivers, the freshwater supply, turns into blood. The fourth thing is mankind is scorched by the sun. And as this occurs, they still don't turn to God, but they choose to blaspheme him. The fifth bowl is the beast of the seat of the government is an affliction. And that's Revelation chapter 16, verse 10. Revelation 16, verse 10. I read it to you again. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and the kingdom was full of darkness, and gnawed their tongues for pain, and they blasphemed God. That's something I got to take a closer look at. I'm not quite sure exactly what that means today, but if you have some information on it, please put it down in the comment section about the fifth bowl. I need to take a little closer look at it and see exactly what that means. But the sixth bowl is the Euphrates is dried up, and all the world armies are now gathering together for what is known as Armageddon. They're trying to rally together one last time to fight God. And then the seventh bowl that's poured out is the earth is utterly shaken. Great earthquakes like none other before. So, these are the 7 bowls of wrath that are mentioned in Revelations chapter 16. I read to you the entire verse. I really like to hear your comments on it. I really like to hear your take on it. But just remember this. While you have a chance now, turn your life to God. Give your life to Christ. Live it right, because there is going to be a point when God says enough is enough. And when that point comes, I don't think any human flesh wants to be around to endure what's going to happen. And from the looks of it, based on the scale of what my Bible says, it looks like it's going to happen sooner than what we wanted to happen. So, that's it. That's all I have for you tonight. I explained to you the 7 bowls in Revelation chapter 16. It's the last 7 plagues of the 21 that God gives throughout the book of Revelations. Give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe, like it, share it with someone, and tell me what you think, all right? Lord, I thank you. Lead us now, guide us, encourage us. In the name of Jesus the Christ we pray. Amen.